Okay. Can somebody please explain to me what's been happening with game devs for, like, the past, 5 years? Because a lot of them have had games that they, launched last decade, and for some reason this decade they've decided to just overwrite them with a new game that changes absolutely nothing, or whatever does change was, could have just been an update to the other game. These things are taking forever to make anyways. You could just, continue them. Let's take a look at Overwatch 2 real quick. Overwatch 1 was first released all the way back in 2016. And I played a little bit of it. And that game was a paid game where you had access to all the content, aside from the cosmetics, with your purchase, right? But all in all, just a solid hero shooter all around, I didn't really play that late into the game's lifespan. Now, fast forward to, 2021, I'd like to say. Jeff Kaplan is sitting there on your screen telling you that they're making a sequel.
Win-loss. Doing a competitive matchmaking system is actually quite complicated.
And it's going to have a campaign, PvE mode, skills, everything everyone wanted from Overwatch 1 in the first place. Your reaction was probably one of two things. Either immediate hype because you were one of the players who hadn't given up on Overwatch 1 at that point, and you were all in for the campaign. Or cautious optimism, with the fact that, the last character you remember getting released is, Wrecking Ball. And then 2022 rolls around, and then they give you the same game, but free to play, and you have to grind out the characters. Oh yeah, and the campaign's gone. The entire reason for making this game in the first place is gone. Anyways, the old game's gone too. Oh yeah, and apparently it's been 4 years since that hamster got added. And I can somewhat understand what happened with Overwatch 2. Because they had big plans, so they wanted to make a new, entirely different revamp of the game. And then those plans fell through. But you know what doesn't make sense to me? CS2. Because in the past, whenever a new Counter-Strike came out, that didn't impact the accessibility of the old one. So where I'm left scratching my head is why, with an engine upgrade, granted, that access to the old Counter-Strike Global Offensive had to be blocked off. Yes, there is a beta branch in Steam that lets you access CSGO through CS2, right? But the thing is, CSGO had achievements. It had achievements that people spent time coming up with, and people spent time unlocking. Either that or they went on an idle server, and now, that information is just gone. Or relegated to the Steam API. I guess my main question is, why isn't CS2 its own game in the Steam client? You can shut down the servers for CSGO, that's fine. I've been running those for a decade at that point, so... But my main concern is why destroy data? You can still access match data through the CS2, stats page. The average user isn't going to be able to regain access to that achievement data, assuming that even the more than average user can even access it through the Steam API. It's just pointless. Granted, I don't have all the information, but it just feels like you could have made CS2 its own game in the Steam client. And this series I actually have some history with, having played the second game in the series for I want to say 8 years now. And with that history comes the knowledge that this studio isn't exactly doing the best. Because if you'll recall, they actually stopped putting out DLC for a bit, You know, they said they were done with Payday 2, and then they came back with several story arcs worth of DLC. So when I heard they were making a new game in the series, I wasn't hyped, I was concerned, because it meant that they couldn't just turn back to Payday 2 after that comes out. So when they came out with whatever we're supposed to call Payday 3 right now, yeah, that thing did not hit my library. I had thought about it, but I held off. All I'll say is that I've got very big concerns for Starbreeze and Overkill. Alright, here's a wild card from several years ago. Ace of Spades. The only experience I have with this game is 6.7 hours played, presumably like 11 years ago. And I know for a fact that it was on the worst possible system. And by the time I actually got a good PC back in 2016, the game was already dead. If I want to try to remember where I heard about it, I think there was either like an Italics video, or maybe like a Chimney Swift video. That's crazy, by the way. In fact, no, I'm pretty sure Chimney Swift was never playing Ace of Spades. Then again, who was making a video about Ace of Spades in 2013, is what I'm wondering. Oh, you want to know what the game's about. It's like Minecraft, but you're at war. But nah, I got an actual one, though. An actual final example. It's the court case of the year, you might say. Ubisoft's The Crew. A game that, in spite of having been around for a minute, probably could very easily be made offline. Just as SimCity 2013 was before it. To my unresearched eye, none of the core gameplay or story of The Crew really requires an internet connection. So the only reason why this game would be taken down would be because of authentication servers. You will own nothing and be happy, as they might say. Because when The Crew is offered on a license, and one that can be deactivated on the whim of Ubisoft at any point, whether you truly own The Crew can be called the question. Your only saving grace is the fact that you might have had a box for it. I don't know, though. Anything I do at this point would be just to fill out the time for this background footage. I'm just very confused what game companies have been playing at for the past 10 years. They just really love killing off their games in a variety of ways. You know, GTA 6 is coming out, relatively soon. I wonder what that means for GTA Online. Also, I'd like it to be known that I was, 9 when GTA 5 first came out. But long dev times are an entirely different topic.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive. All right, we need another.